Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Team X and D's podcast. This is actually going to be our first podcast. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason St. Clair. I'm one of the owners here at Xendurance. And today I get the special privilege to interview one of our family members, Georganne Moline. Thank you, Georganne, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so before I start, I just want to let you guys know Georganne's truly one of our most loyal and supportive athletes that we've had for several years, and it truly is a privilege to have you here to interview you. So thanks for coming. Just want to highlight Georganne really quick. She is kind of like a native of Arizona. Where were you born?
So I was born in Montana, but I moved to Phoenix when I was 4.
So went to Thunderbird High School,
Yeah.
and then trucked it down to the Dirty T,
Yeah.
Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
And she's a graduate from the University of Arizona. She is a Pac-12 champion, also a world indoor champion, American world record holder, and also an Olympian finalist.
Yeah.
At the highest, yeah. So, all right, I know these interviews you're always kind of asked the same thing, so I just wanted to just talk with you and talk about things that are going on with your life, not always just specifically, athlete-based, but let's kind of just start from the basics, like how you were born in Montana, brought to Arizona.
Yeah.
How did you start getting into track?
It's really funny, actually. So my mom always made me do something. She's like, you have to do something, Georganne. I was really shy growing up. I was really awkward, too. But so once high school hit, that's when I could do track. I was like, well, everyone makes the team. I can't get kicked off the team. So that's when I joined. And it was more for, like, the social aspect, to kind of meet friends and just kind of fit in a little bit. And that's kind of where it all started. And then every year I did better and better. And then won state my junior and senior year for the 100 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. But it's funny because my freshman year I was like, I'm quitting. Like, this sucks. Like, I hate the hurdles. I don't know why I decided to do them. And my mom's like, no, you got to finish out the year. And I'm so glad she did because, look where it took me.
Did you play any other sports besides track?
Yeah, when I was like in kindergarten, I did t-ball, and then I did volleyball, and I did cross country in 7th and 8th grade. But it wasn't until high school that I did track. I never did club track or anything like that, just when it kind of came around the season.
And you don't remember how you got to pick the actual event, 100-meter hurdles and 300?
Actually, okay, so my friend Amanda at the time, I wanted to do track because of her, and I was like, so when they broke up into different events, like go into your event. I went to the hurdles because she's like, well, I'm going to go into the hurdles. And I'm like, I'll just go with you. And when I started doing them, I was like, okay, this sucks. Like, literally, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do track at all. And then, and that's when my mom was like, no, you're going to do it. But also, like, my coach was like, you're tall. He tried to recruit everyone for the hurdles because no one wanted to do them.
Right.
So he's like, well, you're tall, Georganne. You should just try them. And I'm like, fine, I guess.
So you went from, well, when you say tall, though, like, wouldn't you be really good at the 100-meter hurdles versus
I did
300
both
as well?
Yeah, so I did both, and the reason why I did the 300 hurdles is because literally there was people who wanted to do the 100 hurdles because it was short, but nobody wanted to do the 300 hurdles. But he made everyone that did the 100 hurdles do the 300, and I'm like, fine, I guess I'll just do them.
And then you got recruited to do 400.
Yes, and then I was like, oh, okay, like the 300 hurdles in college, that's not bad. They're like, oh, no, Georganne, there's 400. I'm like, are you serious right now? I was like, this is terrible.
So you've had a long career.
Yeah.
And you graduated college in 2012, correct?
2013.
2013.
Mm-hmm.
So you were injured your freshman year.
Yeah, I was injured. Well, I was injured a couple years. So I redshirted an indoor season and an outdoor season, which is why I spent 5 years in college, because I had that extra year.
Got it. So you've had a long career of being a professional runner.
Yeah. So
I wanted to ask, the first question was, like, what's your most memorable or favorite moment of success you've had in your athletic career?
I think a lot of people would think the Olympics, but that was like the most fun because it was unexpected. I didn't expect to make the Olympics that year. But winning my first Pac-12 title was huge because that year I was undefeated, and that's kind of where my mindset was. I couldn't see myself as an Olympian yet. Coach Harvey saw it for me, but I was thinking on a lower scale. So for me, I was like, if I could win a Pac-12 conference title, that would be a dream come true. And then when that happened, I had to set a new goal. So I was like, well, I guess I could go for nationals. And then obviously that didn't happen because of, I fell. But And because that didn't happen, I was like, well, I guess I got to go for the Olympics. I can't end my season like this. And so, yeah, it was just weird how it's not like I grew up dreaming about the Olympics, really. I never saw myself as someone who could be an Olympian. Yeah.
So you said you're injured your freshman year, right?
Yeah.
And you're dealing with an injury right now, and you're going into surgery this week, right?
Yeah.
What, Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
So it's something like we, as athletes, and this is close to my heart too because I was injured and had a couple surgeries, but I know you have said multiple times that these injuries have become, in your mind, of course, adversity, but you've turned them into positive things in your life. Can you explain,
Totally.
how that's a positive to you in your life and what it's done for you?
Yeah. I think I've learned something different from every injury. And I know it sounds cliche, but I'm so grateful for every injury that's happened. So my freshman year, I got a stress fracture, which made sense. I mean, I ate brownies for breakfast.
Where was your stress fracture?
It was in my fibula.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was like, oh, I'll have Sunny Delight. That's orange juice. I'll have pizza and fries for lunch. And I'd have Wendy's or McDonald's for dinner. I mean, that's just how I ate. My mom was going back to school at the time, and that was just how it was. So anyways, that injury kind of helped me a little bit with, like, my diet. Like, okay, I got to change some things. It didn't change too much, but, and more so just seeing my teammates, sitting out and watching them, it, like, this fire in me that I was like, I just want to be out there with them,
Yeah.
And then the most recent injury that I think changed my life, it definitely changed my life, was my back injury. And that was during the 2016 Olympics. It was 2 weeks before the Olympic trials. I was a contender to be top 3 and make that Olympics. And I hurt my back. I did cortisone shots. I mean, I did anything you can imagine, and I just couldn't run at the trials. So for those of you who don't know about the trials, like, you have to be good on that day.
Yeah.
You have to go through a prelim, a semi, and a final and be top 3. So obviously that didn't happen, but I saw someone who ended up showing me my deficiencies and made my weaknesses my strengths in my body. And I came back that next year stronger than ever. I PR'd by almost a second, ran in the fastest race in world history, and it was incredible. And so it changed my life, really. Even though I had to sit out, it took that for me to want to make these changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so what were those changes that you made?
So it was, again, like, my diet has changed over the years, and I think this time too is when I really dialed in, and making sure I was I'm always good about my supplements, but my diet and making sure I'm getting a lot of proteins and everything. But I saw a functional movement specialist where he literally would put me through a series of things, and he's like, oh, you're weak on this side, you're weak on this. And I was like, so I don't need surgery, right? Because I had a herniated disc. And he's like, no. He's like, we can do this. I just need you. I need you in this. And I said, you got me. So 5 days a week I went, and I still see him to this day. And he's incredible, and he saved my career, I think.
So explain a little of the changes you did physically, because I know a lot of you guys don't know, but I know Georganne, obviously, through Xendurance. She's been an athlete, but I've had the pleasure of working with her on the agent side.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot about her, but some common things that us as athletes would do, typical, like, lifting workouts that you don't do now, like squatting, for an example.
Oh, I never squat, yeah.
Because you hurt your back, right? So kind of explain some of those changes that Momentous, right?
Modus.
Modus, sorry.
Yeah.
Modus made changes in your physical, strength activities.
Oh, totally.
Instead of, like, the traditional squats or a clean down to the floor.
Yeah. So as far as lifting, I don't squat anymore, and people find that to be like, well, how do you get stronger? There's so many ways you can get stronger. But I do more like single leg, and I isolate movements. So single leg squats I'll do. I'll do a lot of core and glutes. So what was happening is my back, my stabilizers were doing all the work, and my core, even though I had a six-pack, was not that strong. So we really focused on getting my core and isolating it and making it strong in different ways, and getting my right glute, which wasn't firing, which is where I got injured, was on my right side. It affected my right side, and really isolating those things, the smallest little things that seem so simple, he'd have me do, and I'm like, I got that, and I couldn't do them. And it was incredible because I could deadlift and squat quite a bit of weight, and then when it came to these isolated movements, I couldn't do them.
Sweet.
So yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's cool how you find out, like, the core relates to everything in your body, right? Like, I feel like I'm in decent shape, but I wouldn't be able to do, some core activities right now. I'm like,
No, it's really funny.
Totally. So on the injury side of things, you've turned those into a positive thing in your life, right, down the road. But as I see you and a lot of people see you, Georganne Moline, when you think about her, she's always smiling, she's always happy, she's always positive, she's a huge inspiration, especially on social media. But I know you and I have talked kind of in depth about this, and we related because I dealt with anxiety too as an athlete. So I know that's one of the things that you deal with. Can you share a little bit of like the anxieties that you face? Is it something on the daily, or is it just a competing anxiety? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it started with when I was just competing, and then it turned into something that controlled my life. I allowed it to control my life, and it was, from the outside, it seemed like I had it all. I was 23 years old, and I was making 6 figures from a shoe company that I was previously with, and life seemed to be great, but I hated my life. I hated waking up and going to practice, and then I felt guilty because so many people were telling me, you're living the life, it must be nice to be you. So then I felt guilty for feeling this way, because I was like, I'm supposed to be appreciative. And then I would just find myself crying, like, why, like, God, why am I not appreciative of this? You've given me everything, and I'm selfish, and I'm these things, and I set these high expectations for myself, almost making them life or death, right? So I'd go to meets, and I'm like, if I don't win, people aren't going to care about me, people aren't going to love me. My self-worth really, it depended on what I did on the track. So if I lost a race, I felt I wasn't good enough, and I felt that the people in my life were only in my life because of track. I didn't know how to separate Georganne Moline, the human being, and Georganne Moline, the athlete. I didn't know how to. And so it got to points where I let opportunities slip on by. I would fly. One instance, I flew to Jamaica, and I was warming up. I felt amazing, Jason. I felt so great. And then it scared the crap out of me. I was like, oh my gosh, what if I PR? What if I do this? But what if I don't? I freaked out, and I told my agent, I'm not running. He's like, Georganne, just get to the line. You have 20 minutes. I said, I'm not running. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going out there. Yeah. And it started a vicious cycle, and I did it again. And Coach Harvey's like, Georgie, you're starting something that's kind of dangerous, And so during that time, I connected back with my psychologist and really started working with her. And she saved my career as well, because it was really hard for me. It still is. It's something I still struggle with. But now I know how to channel those nerves into a good way. Like, okay, I'm nervous, but this is good. Because through my injuries, I've realized that so often we tell ourselves, well, we have next year, or we have this next meet, and, to run fast. But through my injuries, I've realized that could have been my last meet. Mm-hmm. And I remember you telling me that about, your last game, and being like, gosh, and I never want to have regrets. So I never want to let opportunities pass me by, because you never know when the next one's going to be. And that's really scary.
No, and I appreciate you sharing that. Like, I didn't learn that till my career was over, like how to face anxiety. So if someone's facing anxieties right now as an athlete, because you recognize that and you're still in your career, would you have any advice to give someone on like maybe some cues to look for, some things to go work on to help with that anxiety? Something that's helped you?
Yeah, something that's really helped me is I make these note cards, and everyone's note cards are obviously going to say different things, but mine are things that are really special to me. Like, I am loved is my number one thing. No matter what, I'm loved. Yes. Another thing is, like, I've been here before. So I've been in situations that were tough, and I've overcome them. So that is huge to me. And I can adapt. I've done so many things in races, in life, that have been thrown my way, and I know how to adapt. So I'll get these note cards, and if I'm in a hotel, I'll stick them around in places like a mirror, or places I know I'm going to see right when I wake up or throughout the day, and just kind of ingrain it in me, like, I'm loved. It doesn't matter. If I lose, that, as long as I go out there and give it everything I got, you seriously can't lose. That's right. And I've never been disappointed in myself. Every time I've gone out there and given it everything I've had, I've never been upset, never been disappointed. So I know that as long as I can get to that line, that I'm going to be fine, because I don't want to make, I don't want to let a temporary emotion make this decision for me. Because once that emotion's gone, you're like, why did I do that? Yeah. Why? Just bear through and use that energy and use that nervousness and that little bit of anxiety, and use it to help you. Use it to get you out there and like, all right, I'm nervous, so what? Let's do this. Like, I'm excited. And channel it in a different way. Yeah. And it really does work.
Yeah. Yeah. And one other thing, too, I just want to kind of throw it out there. You mentioned to me one time after a race on how great you felt after the race, and it was kind of channeling that injury or energy and remembering that going into your next race on how you felt. Yeah. To overcome that anxiety. Yeah. So on that, I want to go back really quick. You talked about nutrition when you first started,
So
you know, obviously we're like a product of our environment, right?
Totally.
So sometimes we're brought up knowing like this is how you're supposed to eat, and you don't know any different until you learn something different, right?
Oh, yeah.
So take me through that, like your nutrition as when you started in college to what it is now and how important it is.
Oh, man. That's when I've seen changes not only in my body, but in my energy levels and my performances as my diet has changed. And for people who are just starting and they're like, I don't know where to start, I would say just start cooking your own food, because then you know what's going into it. No matter what it is, it's going to be a heck of a lot better if you cook it yourself than getting it from somewhere not knowing what they put in there. So that's number one. But for me, I would start with kind of looking at my plate and being like, all right, I have to have a protein, a carb, and a vegetable. That's all I knew at the time. So obviously a poor college student, and I was like, okay, tilapia is the only fish I can afford, so I'll get that, and probably chicken, and then minute bag rice, like white rice, and then a vegetable. And that's what I ate all the time. And then as the years went by and I learned more about like good foods, then that changed to like, oh, salmon and halibut, and I know how to cook steak, because back then I was like, how do you cook steak? So you just have to start somewhere and then progress, you know what I mean? But be deliberate with what you're putting in your body, because I think so many people expect like supplements, for example, to just be these magic pills, which you can eat how you want and do what you want, and they're just gonna be everything for you. But like you always say, I always hear you say, is like your nutrition should always come from your food, and supplements are like what you can't always get from your food.
Yes.
But your food should always be number one. And I think people, it's same as like when you go to the track, right? A lot of people expect like, I'm going to put in this 2 hours of work, and then after that, the job is over. The job doesn't end. You got recovery. You have mental health like that you need to work on. You have other things that you can be doing. You can't just expect to do that 2 hours and everything else just take care of itself, because it doesn't.
What about portion size? So I know you and I have worked together, and you probably eat different types of portions than you do now.
Oh,
so walk me through that looks like for you in the past versus now.
Yeah, so I mean, I have an app, like I use MacroStack, so it tells me kind of exactly how much to eat, and I weigh it now. But for me, I mean, a lot of people, my carbs are a lot higher than a lot of people, because I work out for a living, you know? But it's definitely changed because I didn't understand portion size. But now you can use like things like your hand, like a piece of meat should be like your palm and stuff like that. But it's definitely changed, and I feel like, I mean, I probably eat a little more than I should, but I think that also has to do with like my insecurity with losing weight, because I am like fearful of being really skinny. And so I think that's where that comes from too. I still deal with that from like my childhood.
So let's talk about that really quick. You mentioned this on a post.
Yeah.
Actually, in one of your stories a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
The fear of getting skinny.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that can really help other women that are out there, especially young women, regardless if you're an athlete or not. So what did that insecurity, when did it start, and what does it look like now today?
So when I was a little girl, a lot of people, like the times that I can remember is people just grabbing my wrist and being like, oh, you're so small. People I didn't know. And it was like people just grabbing your body. It's a really uncomfortable thing, and you're like, okay. And it didn't bother me too much, because my mom always reassured me, Georganne, you're perfect. You're this, and so... But I remember as I went to this like fair thing back in Montana, and I remember this father and son looking at me, and I was like, okay. And they're like, look how skinny she is. That's sick. And the dad's like, yeah, that's not okay. And I will never forget that. And ever since then, I've overcome a lot, but there's still things that bother me, as far as my weight. But now, to be honest, I know that I do everything right. I eat a heck of a lot of food. I'm really healthy. And I do all the right things, and I know that when it is time to give my body a rest, I usually give myself about 6 weeks out of the year. Coach Harvey has us do nothing, and that's when I start to see, my muscles start to lose a little bit. But I've learned that that's what my body needs for me to go to the Olympics, and so it doesn't bother me as much. I'm like,
What would you tell, a young woman that dealing with a problem like this? What advice would you give her?
There's this quote that is, I feel like it's so corny, but it's my favorite. And it's like, you can be the juiciest, sweetest, perfect peach in the world, right? But there's someone out there that doesn't like peaches. So you can't go out there trying to please everybody, because you're not going to. You just need to make sure that what you're doing is healthy for yourself and good for yourself, and reminding yourself that you're beautifully and perfectly made, and you just have to know that, and there's going to be so many people that have their opinions, but know which opinions are the right opinions. Right. Your family, friends, right. People that love you.
So it goes back to that self-love.
Yeah, self-love, totally.
Yeah. So this actually kind of feeds into the social media aspect of it. Like, to me, you do such a great job, and you're open and you're honest, and you even talked about your insecurities on there. And so I look at you through your social platforms as a bit of an inspiration, and that's where people also gain knowledge and education on a lot of different things. But what is social media to you as an athlete, and who you are as a person today?
It's really interesting. I have so much to thank you for that, because to be honest, when I was with my previous, the only compliment I'll give him today, probably.
By the way, this is an unusual interview here. We're normally like brother and sister making fun of each other.
This is very hard to be nice.
Or she's yelling at me.
Yeah, this is very hard to be nice to you. But no, but really, Jason, when I was with my previous sponsor, like I said, I was making good money, and I was like, that's all I need. And then you reminded me, like, this is a small window, and track and field is not going to last forever. Yeah. And so you showed me my worth in a different way. I was like, and how to brand myself, and because I am my own brand. And to be honest, I'm so happy that I lost that sponsorship, and like I was unsponsored for a year, because I was almost desperate, where I was like, and you were like, Georganne, let me help you. I don't want anything, let me just help you. And I was like, okay, like if you want to. And I'm so glad that you put the effort and energy into me, because I've learned, it's so cool, because now I feel like a working woman. I used to just be like, whatever. But now I'm like, meeting all these like founders of companies and like these high-end people, and like created some awesome relationships. And I've grown so much as a person, and it's really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
On that note, who I always ask athletes this, but like who's been an inspiration to you in your life? And maybe there's one, or I'm sorry, more than one.
Yeah.
What does that look like for you?
My mom.
Your mom?
I feel like that's...
I know, Carrie.
Yeah. Just because I've seen my mom, growing up was a really, really tough childhood, and my mom never let us know we were struggling. Like, it's, I'm not trying to do like the story, but we came here and we lived in our car. Yeah. And but my mom, she wasn't a bad mom. That's what she had to do at the time, and that's all she could do. But she would work 2 jobs and then try to, so that I had a roof over my head. But I never knew that we'd go to the park. A lot of my birthday parties were at parks because they were free. But I loved the park. Or like McDonald's, we go to the playpen, and that was fun to me. And then my mom went back to college in her 30s because she was in the Marine Corps. Went back to college. She's like, I want to have a better life for you, And so just watching her go to college and have another job and then go through student teaching where it's 6 months if you don't get paid, but watching her always come and like prevail. My mom was always like, she's the strongest woman I know by far. And she's always the person I can rely on no matter what. So she's everything to me.
I know mom comes first here, but also, as gotten to know you a little better, there's a coach in your life that's played such a huge role, and he, recruited you to U of A, and he's still a big integral part of your life. So let's talk about Fred really quick, because I've had the chance to meet him and sit down with him. He truly is an amazing man. So
if anyone meets him, I don't even have to describe, he's an incredible human. And I always say that Coach Harvey didn't recruit me on what I had done. He recruited me on what he thought I could do. And that's rare. Usually coaches recruit because they want you to help their program. But he kept instilling in me, like, this is about you. And, like, this is about you. And I'm like, isn't it about the team too? He's like, oh, yeah, you're going to help our team, of course. But you're going to do great things. And the one thing that he told me that I just was like, Mom, I want someone to believe in me, was he told me, he's like, Georganne, I believe in you. And from when I was injured, he never changed the way that he thought about me. He's like, I still think you're one special human being that's going to do some incredible things that no one's ever done. And, that's like world record. And I was like, this man's crazy. But he was speaking like that to me when I was a freshman. I was the skinniest on the team and had the highest body fat percentage. That just tells you, like, I was so out of shape. I didn't eat healthy, apparently. Right. And I was 115 pounds. And, like, for an athlete, 23% body fat was quite a bit for everyone else on the team. But anyways, his belief in me never wavered. So he's incredible.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So obviously we're going into 2020.
Yeah.
And we know you're an Olympic hopeful.
Yeah.
So you're having surgery this week.
I am.
What injury are you dealing with right now?
So it's kind of complicated, but I have pretty bad bunions,
Mm-hmm.
and they've caused a lot of issues in my feet. So I have a plantar plate tear. So I'm getting a plantar plate repair, and while they do that, they're going to go in and fix the bunion. But the joint, everything, the bones, like, they look good. So the recovery time is actually pretty quick for me, and I should be back running within, 6 to 8 weeks. I can actually start running again.
Awesome.
Not sprinting yet, but running.
But running. So you have plenty of time to get back.
Yeah, definitely.
And continue to be that hopeful.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
All right. A few questions actually came in from some fans, and I wrote these down here. And this is funny because we get questions, and I even get them too on my personal Instagram, like, when Georganne posts, is she just a sponsored athlete, or does she really take all the products?
Oh, yeah.
But we can talk about that after this question. But
Okay.
What is it, if you were to take one product, or you could only choose one product for the rest of your life, and you can only get one of Xendurance products, which one would that be?
I have to say extreme endurance, by far. Not by far, but it's like, that for me as a sprinter, 0.3 is a lot to me. That's
Right.
between winning and getting third place.
Right.
So that is tremendous, for sure.
So, to answer that question, what products do you take of Xendurance?
I literally take the entire line.
Yeah.
The creatine, I take probably like half the year. I'm not so consistent with that, but I literally take everything. And then the new collagen and greens, I'm obsessed with. I
it's so
crave
good.
it. And then I'm
It's
like,
so good.
And I remember I called you. I was like, can I take it twice a day? Is that okay? Because I kind of want it again.
Yeah. So when are you taking the collagen and greens?
I take it in the morning, so I drink
Mornings.
water, and then I'll have that while I'm making my
Yeah.
breakfast and stuff. So,
And if you're taking it twice a day, when do you take it?
like, after dinner, I'm like, as a weird dessert. I'm like, I don't know why, but that's
Do you
when I
just mix
crave
it with water, or do you put
No,
it?
water.
Just water?
Yeah, because I like I know a lot of people do protein or other things. I like my protein separate or Fuel 5.
Yeah.
But I like my collagen and greens by
I
itself.
know, it's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What's on your bucket list for a travel destination? Because you've traveled the world, obviously.
Yeah.
But where's one place? I know you went to Australia last year with you took your mom.
Mm-hmm.
But is there somewhere else you haven't been yet that you want to go? It's on your bucket list.
You know what? I would love to go to Spain. I hear so many great things about Spain, and
Which is weird because you're always so close.
I'm so close,
Yeah.
but it's like I don't like when I go on these trips. It's a business trip, so I'm
Sure.
there for 3 days, and I gotta go.
Yeah.
Can't miss out on practice. So I'm always so close, and I'm like tempted. I'm like, should I go? I'm like, I gotta get back home and practice.
Where's your favorite place you've been so far, though?
Australia has probably the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and it's so beautiful. Switzerland is by far my absolute favorite place.
Is it?
Yes, Switzerland, and I like Greece. Those are like my top 3.
All right, favorite animal?
Cat.
What?
I have a kitty.
I heard dog. What's your cat's name?
Maggie.
We know we see her on Instagram.
I know. She needs to make more of an appearance. I need to put her on there more, I think. So.
All right, food. What's your favorite food? If you had the Last Supper, what would it be? I usually say
Like
dinner.
lobster ravioli. I like anything seafood with pasta. Like seafood pasta. Lobster ravioli is like, I should learn how to make it.
Have you ever had a lobster roll from the East Coast?
Yes, in Boston.
So
Yep.
good.
Mm-hmm. So good.
So lobster ravioli.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Trying to think if I have any more questions.
I know it probably hurts your head right now. I'm trying to think.
Oh man, what questions do you want to ask me, Georganne?
I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Well, Georganne, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to HQ. We appreciate your time, your openness, and your honesty. And I know this will help a lot of people just listening
I
to
hope
this.
so.
And we look forward to getting that surgery and a fast recovery.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much for having me.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Thanks.